Hi, chat. Good evening. How are you guys doing tonight? My apologies for running a little late. Had to shut the sandwich maker off. Anyways, guys, all jokes aside, welcome to the Thursday night show. I am Sean, also known as Potentially Criminal. I am a defense attorney in the Cleveland, Ohio area. And yeah, this is the weekly show. We've got a lot to talk about, a lot of fun things to do. Clyde, you want proof of life for Clyde? Hold on one second here. I'll see if I can get him in here. Clyde is not in the mood to, 2.0 is out of town on business, doing stuff for work. So Clyde is he's very despondent right now. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get him. So come here, buddy. Come on. Yeah, he's like, hell no, white man. I ain't doing that. And I'm like, well, if you can't trust, can you not trust the white man? I don't disagree. So I don't know if we're going to get Clyde tonight, chat. Jerome, should I skip my UA today? I don't recommend skipping that. No, I do not. I do not recommend skipping that. Rumble is not live? Well, hold on here. Why is that not live? Let's see. Let me check for you guys over there, because I do like to get Rumble going when it doesn't want to be stupid. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, I think it should be up. Yeah, I don't know why it's still, I did all the stuff and it's kind of like chugging along here. Just give it a second, chat. I think it'll be up. Actually, I'm just going to reload it. Rumble is fighting us, but we'll fix it. All right, chat. Rumble should be up now. See if it works. Let me know. But anyways, guys, we are live on Rumble. Now on Rumble. We are also live on Twitch. And last but not least, Locals. And if you guys don't know what Locals is basically everything we wanted Patreon to be. So over at potentiallycriminal.locals.com, just like Patreon, you could join a group. You could join the community for free. Cost you nothing. At that point, you can... Oh, what is this? Hold on, 2.0. Got a message from my producer. Riley's going to prison. Yeah, well, that's... We'll get to that. Anyways, we are live on potentiallycriminal.locals.com, guys. Just like Patreon, it's free to join. From there, you can post on the walls, read my posts, read other people's posts. It's generally a fun time. If you wish to support me, you can support me over there. They take a smaller cut than YouTube does. So that's a way you can do it. It's $3 a month to support. That's the least amount I'm able to charge. You pay for 10 months, you get 2 months free. And for those of you who went to public school, there are 12 months in a year. With that, you get access to the live shows. We do 2 live shows a week. Monday night starting at about 8:30, but it's kind of like 8:30-ish. Usually it starts when there's an 8 on the clock still. And then that usually goes for quite a while. Usually goes like 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours. And then every Thursday night after this show, we get to hang out. Guys, Locals is great. You can do all the things you can't do here. For example, like you can have a gun on stream. Not only can I hold one, but I can do a video where the person is holding a gun. You can talk about all kinds of things you're allowed to talk about on YouTube. We can also talk about all the goofy, funny things that don't necessarily, mesh well with the show or the type of things we've been presenting. So if you guys are interested in that, it's potentiallycriminal.locals.com. Also, in addition to all of that, and this thing is actually free for everybody, we do a live chat every Thursday during the show here. So if you want to go over there and hang out, you guys can. And with that live chat, you get to do basically all the things you want to post that YouTube won't let you post. Maybe I'll read them or maybe I'll talk about them. I might get to laugh at them, but I might not be able to show them. If it's something I could show, certainly I will, but I can't promise you. But that is actually open to everybody. But like I said, the live shows are restricted to the actual members themselves. So, like I said, hope to see you guys there. It should be a very fun time. With that said, though, we've got to get to our sponsors. First sponsor tonight is thedragonstreasure.com, a haven for teen anime lovers. Use the promo code criminal. You get 10% off coffees, teas, and soaps. All of them, everyone. You can get them there. Use the promo code criminal. And that at maf-arms.com. maf-arms.com, your premier wind chime and wind chime supply dealer in Central Florida. If you guys need work on your wind chimes, they're your place to go. I highly recommend them. If you guys don't know, that's run by Fudbusters, Matt LaRose here. So show them some love. Use the promo code POTCRIM. You get 10% off all of your purchases. And if you purchase in the next order, not only will Matt include a lewd in with your invoice, but so will Ivan, the spinning rat. He will include a lewd as well. So something to think about if you're that interested. But only for this hour. It effectively ends at 10:30 Eastern time. Yes, the loudest wind chimes. Yes. Yes. Next in line, a 3.0. There will not be a 3.0. 2 is good enough. 2 is good enough. Okay, so what are you guys up to here? Hold on. Christine Fortunato's been a member for 4 months. Thank you, Christine. And if you got also, guys, we try to give a couple minutes. Let people catch up because YouTube is not the best at notifying everybody. Red says, I want an MP5. It's a goal. So do I. I'd like an MP5 as well. Will we have a honeymoon in Jamaica? No chance in hell. No. Would never happen. Would never, ever happen. All right. So, guys, I think we've got pretty much, I normally said about 10 minutes, but it's game time. It's game time. We got stuff to talk about, chat. Here we go. Wait, hold on. What do I need a guest house next door? No, I don't. I don't want a guest house next door. Brimstone said, how bad did my divorce go? It's actually pretty good. We both agreed it was time to go our separate ways, and we went our separate ways. So no, it wasn't bad at all. Yeah, I mean, very, very painless. I'm gonna need a doghouse for him to live in, following his own comments. Oh. Yes, I got Kibbo in the divorce. All right, guys, so here we go. I guess we'll start off with Trump's cabinet picks. I think that's just kind of a legal issue here, things that are going forward. Matt Gaetz has been, and I didn't realize he had a law degree. It's kind of a surprise. I didn't know, I honestly didn't know about him. He will be the attorney general going forward as far as nominations are concerned. Tulsi Gabbard's been the director of national intelligence to get confirmed. It's, yeah, I don't know. I mean, Matt Gaetz probably could do it. I just, like I said, I didn't know he had that position. You've known for years, so. Stephen Rosenstein says, with no trial experience. Yeah, but he doesn't have to have trial experience. I mean, the attorney general, it's just like when Kamala Harris was doing her thing. She doesn't need trial experience. She was the attorney general. She didn't do shit. So it's not that big a deal, really, at the end of the day, I think, for her. And that's why I don't think it's a big deal for for Matt Gaetz. I don't think it's going to be critical. I just don't see it becoming like a fatal issue here. Now, do I see? Apparently, he's going to have a lot of opposition in the Senate. It looks like it, and I'm sure they're going to figure out a way to kind of snowball that, or well, not really snowball that. They're going to find a way to stonewall him because Trump is dealing with still many GOP establishments. So I don't think Matt Gaetz is going to go anywhere. They're like, I want to see this ethics thing he did, and it's like you're going to see it, and then there's going to be nothing there. So it's very funny that they want to see this thing that's literally going to amount to nothing, but they want to see it. So, okay. I like I said, I just don't know what they think it's going to do ultimately, but that's what he wants to do. So he'll take a look at it. We have other people in the cabinet. Kristi Noem's the Department of Homeland Security. Pete Hegseth is being nominated for the Secretary of Defense. Marco Rubio looks like he's going to be the Secretary of State. John Radcliffe is going to be the CIA director. It's and RFK is being nominated for the Director of Health and Human Services, which, hold on one second, chat. Well, if you guys want to hear Lainey, that's what Lainey sounds like. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens going forward. I think RFK being the Health and Human Services Director, I was surprised. I kind of thought Trump would blow him off. But you know what? How much worse can it get? We've got Rachel Levine running around in the Department of Health and Human Services. So how much worse can it actually get at this point? How much worse can it actually get? I think I just, how much worse can it get? I'm a little worried about. I'm a little worried about RFK because he's a bit of a nutbag, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I'm stopping up on Florida for my drinking water already. Yeah. Vince Griswold says, "Mommy Gabbard." Yeah, that's the thing with Tulsi. Like, okay, wow, she's got a butt, and she's playing with guns, and she was on Joe Rogan. She's based. Like, if that's all it takes, guys, holy shit. I don't know. I'm very sus of her. I just don't trust her. I know people are giving me shit about that earlier on Twitter, but it's like, I just don't trust the woman. I don't know. I'm just telling you, I don't trust her. We'll see what happens. Hubbleson says, you haven't watched any of Matt Gaetz stuff in the house. I have, but I guess I never heard him talk about himself being an attorney. I've heard him, when he's been grilling witnesses and stuff, but I didn't realize he had that kind of legal experience. So, no, I just honestly didn't know. Commando Kodiak says, will Tulsi Gabbard still be on the no-fly list? I don't know, but that's very funny that she is, and it'll be weird to see what happens to her. Because remember, even Senator Ted Kennedy, he got put on the no-fly list, and that's because there was an IRA guy with the same name as him, which shocker, a guy in Ireland named Edward Kennedy. But with that, Lainey, hold on, Chad. I gotta go see what she's barking about. Give me 1 second. Sorry, guys. The way she was barking, I was worried like a raccoon or something got in the house, or maybe a coyote or something. So I just want to make sure she was okay, because she normally doesn't freak out like that. So apparently, no false alarm, no big deal. Oh, Yeah, see, it wasn't Clyde. It was all Lainey 2.0. I just checked that he wasn't doing anything to her. Every once in a while, Clyde does hump Lainey. So we will. The Ricada Raccoon service is a real thing. No. JC says, do they ever get in the house? No, but you never know. Like, we have a dog door, so anything could come in or out. So you just always check. If the dogs are freaked out, you should check on what's going on. Yes, the house is clear of Haitians. Yeah, well, they're not Haitians in the house. I can promise you. Clyde cut April sneaking in. No, chat. All right. Anyway, those are Trump's picks right now. We'll see how that goes from here. Like you said, we'll just see how it goes. There are still a lot of people left to a lot of people left to nominate. Remember, they have to get confirmed. Remember, the Senate has to confirm most of these positions. Now, might there be times where, Trump is allegedly going to be using recess appointments? Well, I don't think it's going to ultimately work. I understand, try it, see what happens, but I don't see anything working that way. I don't think the recess appointment will last too long, especially once Congress gets into session. I just don't see it lasting. I understand they're going to try it, but I just don't see the courts allowing it. Like I said, we'll see. Yeah, not with this attitude. I'm just being real with you guys. Just being real. I can lie to you and say, oh, it's going to be great, chat. I just don't think it's going to work. I'm just saying. Where is, hold on here. All right, guys. So moving on from that with other things related to, I don't see former President Trump, President-elect Trump. There are a couple other things here. One of the biggest things is, and this is something that is coming up here, and we knew this was coming. We already talked about it before. Jack Smith had said they were planning on wrapping things up for him. Well, we have a lot more confirmation of that at this point. And that comes from the actual case in front of Trump, or in front of Judge Chutkan. And that is that the case has been put on hold. So Judge Chutkan has basically vacated the entire trial calendar, and everything is on hold. So Judge Chutkan postponed the trial date. It's interesting how things are going here. And this is an indication for the case that's going for one of the January 6th protesters. We're to that point. All January 6ers should be pardoned, yeah. But this just shows you what's going on. Everybody's getting ready. Everybody believes that Trump promises to pardon the defendants or otherwise on the prosecutions. Now, while a lot of these are going forward, other judges have continued to schedule them into the new year. And it is interesting. Prosecutors, they are right to argue the court should proceed as they would. But, the judge has the right to say, I believe in judicial efficiency. The court's going to decide whether or not we go forward. And we're going to waste our time. If he's gonna pardon this guy, why have the trial right away? Now, it's very interesting. This is Judge Rudolph Contreras. This is one of the former FISA judges. This was involved in all the Crossfire Hurricane nonsense, going back to the search warrants and the FISA warrants for Trump. Contreras was involved in all that. And because of this, they acknowledge the possibility the case 4 might be cut short. He granted a request from William Pope, one of the more kind of high-profile January 6th cases, to put off his December 2nd trial at least till February. So the courts are starting to realize, and I think for the D.C. circuit and the D.C. courts, they're starting to realize this is happening. And I think this is a signal that we'll see Judge Chutkan doing this as well. She's going to back down, or at the very least, she's going to, if she sees that the prosecutors are talking about quitting. Yeah, it's good news. It's good news. But this is the first step. This is the first judge to postpone a January 6th related trial. And yes, as they stated, it spares court resources. Taking a trial, and you guys have seen this before when we watch cases. Sarah Boone, whatever it is, Kyle Rittenhouse, whatever trial you may have ever watched. When you do a trial, when you're court holding trial, that's all you can do. There's nothing else you could do. You can't have other hearings. You can't work around other people. That's it. So it is a big deal. Judicial resources, judicial efficiency is the big thing. Fallen Preacher says, can they sue for a lack of speedy trial? No. William Pope wants this. William Pope has asked, hey, judge, I don't want to go to trial. I might get a pardon here. Trump said he's going to pardon me. You shouldn't want to do this right now. So this is something he actually wants. He actually wants this. So don't actually, the guy wanted this, so I don't think it's wrong for the court to grant it. Job well done says nothing ever happens. Now, I do agree with that. Yes, until he does it. This is kind of garbage here, and why are we dealing with it? I don't know. But we'll see. Trump can do whatever he does. But, I think he's right to say, I have the right to challenge this trial date, because if we go to the trial and then we get if he gets convicted, which, remember, from seeing the polling data and the voting data, 93% for Kamala Harris, he's going to get convicted. And then Trump pardons him. Well, that was a complete waste of time. So what do you do then? Well, the court doesn't like wasting time. It doesn't like getting jerked around. So, yeah. Ray Epps doesn't get it. Ray Epps doesn't get anything out of this. He shouldn't. Yes, nothing ever happens till it does. Where are you guys looking here? I wonder if Big Johnny J is going to end DC's home rule. That, I think, would require acts of Congress to overdo, but they've got a lot of. It'll take a lot of congressional work to do that to DC, and I don't know. I have a feeling courts would not allow it. Just the way courts have been going lately, I don't see them allowing that to happen. But it could change. It could change. But we'll see. We will see, chat. So just keep that in mind. There are some January 6th things still brewing and pending from there. But this is one of the bigger ones that's out there. So we'll see what goes forward. T-Rex says, how does Trump get out of going to prison in New York in 2028 once out of jail? Well, I kind of get the feeling at that point, presumably the Court of Appeals would have stepped in. But there's an interesting thing I think might happen here. I think Judge Merchan, realizes he's kind of fucked up the way he's handled this case so far, and he probably needs to vacate the convictions. If he's got any ounce of integrity, he'll do that. So it won't become an issue. But in the meantime, there'll be 4 years of appeals and all kinds of things that go forward. We might even get case law from courts saying that Trump can't be jailed. I don't know. Maybe courts will say these were all protected acts and official acts of some sort or another. Remember, most of them won't, because a lot of it happened before he was, president-elect and all that. So we'll see. We'll see. Yes. Maureen Memento says integrity. I know. And he ain't got no integrity. Oh, we'll see. We will see, though. We will find out. Now, other news that's happened this happened earlier the week on Monday. Sadly, I know a lot of people were hoping things were going to work out differently. Is the Richard Allen trial out in Indiana? If you guys remember Richard Allen, this is him right here. He was charged with murdering 2 girls in Delphi, Indiana back in 2017, that they were out kind of at a local park and they got murdered and left in the woods. Richard Allen ended up doing a dumb thing. And as far as all the things go with this case having an awful judge and many of the other things that Richard Allen kind of suffered with, incompetent law enforcement, a horrible judge, and a lot of shitty luck here, Richard Allen fucked up. Richard Allen decided to talk to the police like an idiot. Twice. Richard Allen decided to talk to the police after having a search warrant on his house. It still went to the police without an attorney. Never talk to the police. Don't talk to the police. But yes, on Monday was the verdict, and this was for about an almost 3-week trial. He was found guilty of killing both girls. And from there, killing Liberty German and Abby Williams. They were 13 and 14 at the time. So he was found guilty of 2 counts of murder, 2 additional counts of murder while committing or attempting to commit kidnapping, because the allegations of the way they proved their case. He pulled a gun on him, moved him to another spot in the park, and that's where he killed him. Well, that's kidnapping. So we'll see what happens. I mean, he's going away forever at this point. You know, he's not, he's 52, and he can face up to 130 years in prison. Given the way things have gone so far, I'm sure they're going to nuke his boots off, and he's never coming home. So like I said, guys, don't be too surprised about that. W. Masters, you can talk to him. Just tell him you don't want to talk to him. Well, yes. And Garrett says, but I work at Denny's. How do I take their orders? Oof. Now, at the end of the day, chat, do I think the case is bullshit? Sure. But do I think, the 12-person jury was 7 women and 5 men. They were sequestered throughout the entire trial. The trial began October 18th, so just short of a month, but they went on Saturdays too because they were dealing with this. And yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, Richard Allen's going away forever. Now, we might have issues about, the bullet and the tool mark diagnosis, the tool mark examiner, and whether or not it was Richard Allen telling the girls down the hill on a Snapchat video that was there. And all the other things the cops did that were wrong. But ultimately, Richard Allen has a problem, and it's those confessions. Now, sure, those confessions came at a time where that guy had been locked up in solitary confinement in a prison because of some hijinks. Sure, was it at a time where he's eating his own turds? Yep. Did Richard Allen confess to killing people who were still alive? 100% true. He also confessed to killing people who actually don't exist. He confessed to killing his granddaughter. He doesn't have a granddaughter. But all of that was used against him, and the jury heard him make confessions, and very likely that's probably what did it for him. We don't know for sure because the jury is under a gag order till the sentencing. The judge can do that to keep things under wraps. I mean, with this judge, though, who knows what her reasoning is because she's a complete idiot. But I have the feeling those jurors are going to say this is why they did it. And can I fault them? No. I mean, really, at the end of the day, they're given what they're given. They're given a limited amount of information. I think I've mentioned this before. I've had a judge who he mentioned that, when he used to be a prosecutor, he liked things a lot more because he had also been a defense attorney for a little while too. But he says when you're the judge or on a jury, you're like children. You're like a child. And the prosecutor and defense attorney are your parents, and they tell you what they want you to hear. They want you to know. but you don't get to hear everything. And you may have an idea of what other things are out there, but you can't consider it because you're left with what the defense attorney and the prosecutor are presenting to you. So the jury was left with what they had. Do I think the jury got it wrong? I mean, I think they were wrong ultimately, but is it their fault? No. I mean, they've only got the evidence they have. So, am I going to say our justice system is the best? I mean, where would you rather go to trial? Someplace like Italy, like with Amanda Knox, where they jerked her around for the better part of a decade, having like 6 separate trials and going back and forth and all the things you can do. I mean, yeah, if you could go to like some country where you can whip out like $10,000 and buy your freedom, fine. But you can't guarantee any of that anywhere. It's still better than anywhere else you'd rather go. I mean, where would you rather go? The best of the shittiest options. And they're all shitty. But what's the best option? That's the one you have to answer that question. You'll have to answer that question. T-Rex says, have you ever had a client say he didn't do it? You believe them, they were found guilty, then admitted to doing the crime? I've had that happen. Yep, it does. It happens sometimes. Not frequently, though. Eliza says, can't they charge you for not talking to them? Well, if the cops arrest you and, you try to, they asking you for information, like who are you? Well, there are times where you could probably get away with not identifying yourself if it leads you to criminal liability. And if all you do is just say, I'm using my right to remain silent, I mean, are they going to generally charge you for like obstructing or failure to provide information? They might. Sometimes you might get that thrown out. But yes, if you end up getting arrested and they ask you who you are, you generally have to identify yourself. But other than that, you don't have to answer any other questions. Now, it all depends on your states, but yes, generally most states you will have to identify yourself. I can't tell you which state won't allow that or will allow it. You're going to have to talk with an attorney where you live, but generally speaking, you will have to identify yourself. Those types of questions are not considered questions that violate Miranda. So if you search your right to remain silent when you're getting booked, what's your name, what's your height, what's your weight, all that stuff, they can ask that. Do you think Judge Gull will go back to saying putting cameras in the courtroom except hers? I could see that. Yeah. Popcorn Power says, what year were the murders? 2017. It was a 5-year-old cold case before they arrested him. The jurors are mouth breathers? I don't think so. They just didn't. They could only work on what they could work on. Robert Lawrence says ineffective counsel. These guys were far from ineffective counsel. He had very good attorneys who fought tooth and nail for everything. So no, he has. Remember, the bar of ineffective assistance of counsel is: was their conduct deficient, and then was that deficiency so grievous that it had a reasonable effect on changing the outcome of trial. Remember, it doesn't have to guarantee it, but it has to have a reasonable effect to change the trial. But attorneys have fallen asleep in trial before, and that's been deemed okay. These guys were far from that. They did a ton of work and kicked a lot of ass. What they did will not be declared ineffective assistance. Now, there are evidentiary rulings and things like that that they can appeal. And certainly, I hope they do appeal. But what's going to happen at the end of the day? Probably they're not going to get found. It'll probably be harmless error. Remember, Richard Allen confessed, and they might say, good enough for us, and wash their hands of it. That's sadly probably what's going to happen there. D. Marie says the third-party culprit defense was not allowed to be introduced, correct? Yes. The judge prohibited him from introducing that, and yeah, that's kind of is what it is now. Yes, the secret of winning in the criminal justice system is to not be involved in the criminal justice system. That is probably the best way to win. I highly recommend that option of not getting involved. And how do you not get involved? By not talking to the cops. Also not committing crime, but let me see here. Tim says, stop breaking the law. Well, sometimes you haven't broken the law. Which I think Richard Allen didn't do. So, guys, yeah, Richard Allen, like I said, he's, he'd say happy trails, but yeah, probably happy trails for Richard Allen at this point. And his sentencing is on December 20th. And yeah, he's going to do all day and all night in prison. So we'll see. Okay, from there, chat, there are, and I don't know why I had it labeled anti-Semitism bill. Like, I clicked on a template for YouTube, and for some reason I hadn't changed out. The anti-Semitism bill thing is kind of like already being that's already been a thing. So I apologize for that being up there. But this is something I did want to cover. Alex Jones, Infowars, fighting the globalists every day, chat. Take care of the globalists. They won't defeat us, chat. Break through the conditioning. Break through your conditioning, chat.
Rape.
That Alex Jones, if you remember him. Well, as part of his lawsuit against the Sandy Hook families who sued him for multiple bullshit offenses, including having a bullshit judge be involved. Remember, he had $1 billion verdict. $1 billion verdict against him. That's more than companies get fined by the SEC. Well, as part of that lawsuit, they're able to make judgment on Alex Jones's items and things. Alex Jones tried to go to bankruptcy court, but he had some issues there complying with the terms of bankruptcy court. So his bankruptcy got discharged, and they kicked the case out, and everything is now up for grabs. Well, Alex Jones's Infowars was up for sale. The intellectual property, all the things inside of it. And The Onion. Yes, The Onion bought it, which I guess if you're The Onion, this is the first time you've been relevant in the better part of 15 years now? I mean, like, how far back do you have to go where people actually cared about The Onion? You read something on The Onion, or you even chuckled at the idea of The Onion. I mean, yes, people might refer to like, oh, this is something you'd see on The Onion, but nowadays, really, this is something you'd see on the Babylon Bee. The Onion, it's like, they're like, look, we're relevant again, guys. It's like, so they tried to buy it, and it looks like for right now, they have bought it. There are some issues with the way it was sold. Yes, back when ONN and the Sports Dome were on TV. Yes. Great Scott says, this fat man doesn't understand. What don't I understand? Yes. So, and guys, Chris, I need you to take your titties and I need you to ice them down. We're going to get to it. We're going to get to that. Let me discuss the story. Everybody just needs to we have to read the story first, chat. I can't just go, oh, well, the sale looks to be bullshit, moving on. I'll run out of things to talk about. We have to keep going. So The Onion, they're like, oh, look, we bought it. And it's like, are you sure you bought it? There have been a lot of issues here. So the bankruptcy judge is ordering a hearing on the court-ordered bankruptcy sale of Infowars. Well, what happened? Well, the trustee was involved, but there's some sketchiness in this. And Alex Jones brought it up, and there are some problems here. The trustee changed the process days before and open sealed bids that had been submitted. So initially, we were going to learn about this being an open... What the fuck? She's spazzing out. I don't know why, chat. There was supposed to be open bidding. It was going to be on a website. We could watch it happen. It was going to be actually very interesting to see. And Alex Jones had alluded to today, a lot of people were interested in being involved and taking care of things. But at the last minute, the trustee said, we're going to close the bidding and it's going to be sealed bids only, where you write out your bid and send it in. Now, how do we? And the problem, sealed bidding makes things private, but you also don't know what the other bids were. How do you know you had the lowest bid? How do you know you had the highest bid? How do you know your bid was the right bid? You don't know. You don't know, and that's a problem here. So Alex Jones' attorneys are challenging the sale. They're saying that we don't know what's happened here. Now, this part's bullshit. Jones did not tell the viewers Sandy Hook was a hoax. It was actually bullshit. So, but yes, the Onion had placed a winning bid for all the assets. But we will find out. We'll find out what happened here. But, you know, it's so funny when you look at one of these parents here. They're talking about, like, the Onion really got a big win for us, and I couldn't be happier. Okay. You know, so it's funny, like, this guy is like, but, you know, I understand that he live streamed till his site got shut down, and it did. It literally got shut down. And, you know, short of federal marshals dragging Alex Jones off the set, that would have been the best thing ever for him. Think about how many views he would have got for that going forward. That'd have been Kino footage. But yes, they're like, but he's got another studio, and I wasn't naive to think I could silence Alex Jones. Then why did you do this? Why did you do this? It's all lawfare. It's all lawfare. So we will find out what happened. And this is how you know the Onion sold out. You know, the Onion planned to have every town for gun safety as a sole advertiser on the Infowars platform, which, you know, there is a lot of bullshit going on with that. And it's also been rumored that some of the Sandy Hook families have pooled money and resources they had available to help the Onion, and they were marshaling support for the Onion. So we don't really know, but that's been rumored. I think that's very, very likely. But to do this right here, this just shows you this is more lawfare. This is more bullshit as far as things are being done. They're just rubbing it. Basically, they're rubbing in our faces and laughing at us. Yeah, it's totally sketchy. Yeah, it very much is. So, and the point is, the twist is, and this is somebody from commenting on this, they'll be putting the message from anti-gun messages where people have not heard the message before. Nobody's going to come back to Infowars if Alex Jones isn't there. Infowars is the brand. Well, it's an IP. Alex Jones is the brand for Infowars. Alex Jones is the brand. People are going to follow Alex Jones. Nobody's going to watch. Like, who watches the fucking Onion still? Nobody does. And, you know, people are going to go on to Infowars, and they're going to see the fucking Onion running around and fucking every time for gun safety. Nobody's going to watch that. No one's going to give a shit about it. So I don't understand what they think is going to happen there. The Onion hasn't been funny in a decade, at least. Yeah, it's like Veritas without James O'Keefe. Nobody cares anymore. Yeah. He is the brand. He is the brand. So it's like you owned him. It's like you didn't. You aren't stopping him, so you aren't changing anything. Alex Jones is stronger than ever. He can now do all kinds. You've unburdened him by what he has been unburdened by what has been. You've lifted shackles off of him at this point, which I don't understand. I don't understand why you think this is a win. But remember, this is all lawfare meant to go after people. This is all lawfare. This is all tactical lawfare. And, you know, it worked for now. It worked for now. But yes, Alex Jones has submitted a $3.5 million bid and expected a bidding process, which parties could bid against each other. But now they claim only sealed bids previously submitted were accepted. The judge wants to know what the fuck happened, and I think he has the right to know. So we'll see, chat. It's not over yet, but given the way Alex Jones has been kind of hosed so far by multiple courts, yeah. TC's is like making a Peter Luger's a Waffle House. Kind of. Well, it's like selling a Peter Luger's and then, just taking the name off there. People aren't going to want to come there. They want Peter, they want the brand. So it's just not going to work. Oh, and I didn't know this. The Onion is run by former NBC News disinformation experts. It's sad because it used to be funny. Back in the day, it used to be fucking hilarious. But it's a shame. Anderson Cooper 360 No Scope says the judge invalidated the sale according to Zero Hedge. I don't think he invalidated. I think he put it on pause. He's going to take a look at it. I think he wants a hearing to determine it, but either way, the judge is reviewing it. The judge is reviewing the sale. He wants to make sure it's on the up and up. So we'll see what happens. Shade Chaser is saying, what are you guys talking about here? There's a locals chat up, and the safe house is pinned. So I know it's there because I pinned it. And Job Well Done says, God bless the goal. Yes. Nick Taylor says, can Matt Gaetz and the DOJ investigate when he takes office? I mean, they can do a little bit. They can do a little bit of investigating, but this is being done through a bankruptcy court. So the bankruptcy court, is pretty much in charge of it. So the DOJ, the executive branch, coming into looking into judicial branch issues, I think you're going to run into a lot of opposition to that. I think there might be some federalism issues there and separation of powers anyway. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens, but I don't think it'll really go anywhere. Let's see here. Hulk Hogan for press secretary. Great Scott says, wow, you're dumb. You're missing things, but feel free to elaborate. Can the DOJ investigate judicial misconduct? I mean, somewhat. But remember, every branch is kind of left alone to operate as they please to an extent. So it'd be kind of like the DOJ wanting to investigate, congressional misconduct. Well, have they really broken the law? No. Have they just done things that ethically are horribly fucked up? That's outside the purview that's Congress's problem. So I think a court would probably bristle at the idea of the DOJ getting involved. Now, if somebody broke the law, certainly. But if it's merely just things being done, no, they won't get involved there. They will probably not get involved there. Okay, let me see here. I gotta take care of this. Hold on here. Why did this not work? Oh, what the heck? Oh, hold on here, chat. Are you guys, can you hear me still? Because it's saying I don't have internet. Let me know, because it's saying the connection went down. You can hear me? Okay, fine. Good. I just want to make sure, because there's such a delay. I had something that was downloading, and they're like, oh, it's not working. And I'm like, well, hold on. That's not good, actually. It's lying to me. That's fine. Yes, the internet's lying, chat. The internet is lying. Let's see here. Okay. So going on from there, there has been a big where are we on to now? No. Yes. So we're moving on to the Breonna Taylor saga. And if you guys remember Breonna Taylor, she was a woman in Louisville, Kentucky. She was the victim of a bullshit search warrant written up and executed by members of the Louisville Metropolitan Police Department. If you guys don't remember, two of the officers involved in writing the search warrant themselves actually ended up pleading out to federal charges, admitting they lied about information in that search warrant. At that execution of the search warrant, they claimed they knocked on the door and announced as police, but they hit the home late at night. And as they were trying to kick in the door and smack it in, Breonna Taylor's boyfriend grabbed a gun, which he was legally allowed to have, and he was legally cleared of using, and started shooting at these guys who came storming into her house. They returned fire, and they killed Breonna Taylor. Now, yes, Breonna Taylor had some, she had made some poor decisions as far as like boyfriends in the past, but by this point, she had cleared those guys, and she wasn't involved with them anymore. And even the police who lied on the search warrant admitted they were using old information that they knew was old information. So, yeah, she was clear. She had gotten away from all the bullshit, and they lied on the search warrant. So when they hit her house, if you guys have never seen pictures of the house, this is the apartment. This is the apartment here where Breonna Taylor lived, at the bottom one. And in the response to all the shooting, this is what it looked like on the outside, where the officers just started shooting through the fucking door. And they struck her and killed her. Now, when all this happened, through screens. So here's Breonna Taylor's apartment, and here is what happened outside, where the police officers shot the fucking place apart. Going back to the other picture, though, there was an officer on the outside standing over here. His name was Brett Hankinson, and he stood over about right here, and he shot. And as you can see on this picture, the screens are drawn. The window shades are down. He fired 11 shots randomly into this fucking place. Just like that. He hosed down this apartment. And now the neat thing is, it's an apartment. And what do we know about apartments? Well, guess what's on the other side of Breonna Taylor's apartment? More people in another apartment. And what do we know about walls and modern construction? Well, most walls are actually air inside. On a normal stud and drywall interior wall, all the walls, it's basically air inside. There's nothing there. Or if there's even insulation, fiberglass insulation will not stop a bullet. And they went into the other apartments. Hi, Kurt. How you doing? Yeah. What's on the other side of a wall? More apartment. Yes. A lot more apartment. But guys, Kurt at Uncivil Law, give him a look. He does a lot of great stuff. Panzer Dude says the air is contained. Yes. So it's contained air. It gets thicker. Is that what happens? Uridace is like the end of Breaking Bad. Yeah, except that's a machine gun shooting rifle rounds. But pretty much, anyway, yes. Any modern construction short of like brick or stone facade is probably not going to absorb a bullet. The bullet's going to go right through it. Well, he shot the fuck out of the place. Brett Hankinson did. He was tried in state court in Kentucky. He was acquitted, which I think wrongfully so. Super Psych says, aren't they supposed to have a firewall? Firewalls are not bullet resistant. Firewalls are meant to stop fires from spreading, not a piece of copper and lead going, 900 miles an hour. So a firewall will not stop a bullet. So from there, Brett Hankinson was tried in federal court. And also, it's all the cope here. They're still coping with dealing with all this. You can still find it online. Breonna Taylor was the officer was found guilty of violating her civil rights and the civil rights of the people in the houses in the apartments near there, where he randomly fired into the house. Which, you know what, I don't necessarily like the dual sovereign thing, but they have the ability to do it. The federal government could try you separately, and he should be held accountable for what he did. You know, Brett Hankinson admitted he couldn't see targets. He saw flashes, so he just started shooting. Boom, 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 boom. And thank God he didn't fucking hurt anybody. It was merely through sheer luck that nobody got hurt. So, with that said, though, he was found guilty of violating her rights, which I don't think is the best thing here, because he didn't really violate her rights more than the rights of the apartment dwellers. But because, you know, the other guys killed her, he didn't kill her, and they confirmed that. But I think he ended up being the scapegoat for that. But oh well. Isn't a flash a target? Well, it isn't even a flash. He saw like a flash behind a drawn window, like a window with screens in front of it. Never, like the shades were drawn. So you kind of saw like a flash, but you don't even know where the flash came from. So he just randomly shot. And when you shoot, you have to know what your target and beyond your target. So couldn't happen to a nicer guy. I mean, I don't think he's guilty. They ended up convicting him of Breonna Taylor's civil rights violations, and him personally, I don't think he did. I mean, sure, he was on the team of guys that did it. I don't think that was probably proper for him. What was his excuse? His reason was he was at that apartment and he saw, he was outside, and Brett Hankinson's argument was that he was outside and he was at this apartment. And what did he do from here? He said, well, I knew my buddies were, and we'll redraw this so it makes some more sense. He said he was standing here. You know, he was in the stack of all those guys right here. He heard them getting shot and getting wounded. People were injured. So he comes running around to here and he saw a flash. Now, remember, guys, this is not very far. This is like probably what, 20, 30 feet. So while this is all going off, he could see like a big flash inside where the shades are drawn. So he just starts bang, 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 bang. He didn't kill Breonna Taylor, though. That was confirmed. Never wounded her, never wounded anybody else. Hydrosphere says, what is the dog barking at? 2.0 is gone. She's on business. And Lainey's got some anxiety issues. I tried to give her some hemp treats, but she is very, I don't know. I don't know what her deal is tonight. She's very just nervous, I think. So, and anytime she hears like a car door out in the neighborhood slam or somebody pull up or a door opening, she thinks 2.0 is coming home. So she's like kind of fired up too. I think is ultimately her issue. 2.0 is working with Trump. Well, Alex says, get the dog. If I go try to pick her up, she runs outside. She is, trust me, I tried to work with her today. She is not in a consolable mood. So there's nothing I can do about it. So, that's sad. Yeah, she's really bonded with 2.0. The other issue is for Lainey, we think she has a fear of men. We think that's probably because of where she lived for most of her life on a puppy mill. So, yeah. So, that's kind of where we are. Bella said, can we not act like Breonna Taylor? I'm not arguing she was a saint. I'm like, look, Breonna Taylor wasn't a saint, but she didn't deserve to have police bullshit their way through a search warrant and like literally fucking lie. They admitted to lying. And then a bunch of dumb fuck cops show up, not properly identify themselves, kick the door open, have the people in the house rightfully defend themselves, and then they kill somebody in the process. That's fucked up. It also, some asshole cop shouldn't just get to walk in and go just randomly blind fire into an apartment building. Like, there needs to be some level of accountability. Breonna Taylor is not a great person. Fine. But I'm saying the cops were fucking wrong for what they did and they need to be held accountable. So that's the issue. So that's my problem here. Yeah. She needs a face cam on Lainey. I don't think that'll help Lainey right now. So didn't they announce themselves before coming in? It's not very clear how they did it. I mean, it sounds like they started banging on the door. Neighbors in the apartments aren't clear. Like, there's a lot of issues about what they did or didn't do properly. So that's the issue there. Judas Destroyer says, I have zero sympathy for ghetto rats that have plenty of priors. They're just subhuman trash. Get the karma she built up. Sure. When the cops start doing that, though, eventually they're going to do it and they're going to hit your house. That's the bigger. You should be more concerned for your own ass. If they get away with it for her, they'll get to you. That's the big problem. If they'll do it to her, guess what they'll do to you? All kinds of shit. All kinds of shit. So, Lainey's not barking at a ghost, chat. Oh. Rosie says you can't let her bark for 2 hours. Rosie, if I go out there, she stops. Like, I don't know what else I can do for her. She won't stop. There's nothing else I can do. Like, Lainey's going to keep barking because she wants 2.0 home. I can't do anything about it. I've sat with her. I tried to sit with her earlier tonight and, tried to give her some calming treats. I tried to sit there with her, but she won't. She won't chill out. There's only so much I can do for her. There's only so much I can do. So, give her a Delta 8 gummy. That could actually probably be bad for her. I wouldn't do that. Besides, I give her these. She's taken a couple of these hemp treats, and she's still on edge. I don't know what the deal is. I can't do anything about it. And if I open the door and go up there, she stops barking, runs outside. Even if I try to tell her, like, it's all okay and sit there and wait for her, she won't, she'll be out there for 10 minutes. I'll come back in here, and then she'll be barking again, guys. So I can't do anything about it. So, squish some cheese on the floor. Yeah, have I thought about giving her Coke? I hear it helps with stress levels. Yes. If your dog is stressed to hear and you want her to be less stressed, and take that. So she wants to walk? No. If I try to walk her, you know what she's going to do? She's going to go like this, flop on the ground and, like, not move. That will not work for her. That will not work for her. I'm not going to give the dog DMT also. Oh, my God, you guys. Oh, so that was an update for the Breonna Taylor situation. I know it's been kind of dragging along, but we finally have some resolution to it. And then this, moving into some election hijinks, and this is kind of the election lawfare. I don't know if we consider this election lawfare, given the fact that the FBI is involved. Focus. I still have focus. Come on, focus. There you go. Focus. There you go. Focused. Yeah, see, she won't really walk on a leash at all. She's a dog with a lot of trauma. Dog TV is a thing that won't work for her. Like I said, she wants 2.0. That's what she wants. She wants 2.0. So, moving on from here, guys, this is take her for a track. No, this isn't Rakita Dog Care 101. All right. So moving on from there, guys, we do have a bit of a, is this lawfare or is this the FBI actually getting involved, doing the right thing? It's kind of hard to tell because the FBI is full of scumbags and they operate in a very weird way. Well, in a very weird way, very corrupt way. Is Polymarket. And Polymarket's not where you go to. And chat, no, Polymarket is not where you find your polycule. It is not a polycule brokerage firm. It is not built for swingers, by swingers, for all your swinging needs. But Polymarket was involved in kind of like Predict It was. Polymarket was involved in doing where you could bet as part of a prediction market on various things, including the election. If you guys have never been to Polymarket, this is actually a very kind of breakdown of what they talk about. Vanessa says, are we sure it's not for that? Yes. So what can you do on Polymarket? Well, it says Trump won. It talks about the 2024 elections. You can, does Trump end look at some of these things they talk about. Does Trump end the Ukraine war in the first 90 days? You could do that. You can do a lot of things. You could bet on all kinds of stuff. Will Bitcoin get to 100K by the end of 2024? For those of you, it was at $89,000 yesterday. Right now, it's hovering at $88,000. So it could be there. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. You're like, okay, let's sports bet. Will Joe Biden pardon Hunter Biden? There's a 28% chance. Who will Trump pardon in the first 100 days? Ross Ulbricht himself. A January 6th protester, 77%. And you can place bets on things that are there. And you can take a look at things. Will Joe Biden resign before inauguration? Who will run the FDA? You can bet on all kinds of stuff. Will Matt Gaetz be confirmed as Attorney General? And yeah, I agree. I don't know if that's going to work. Will there be a Fed decision in December? Will there be an increase in basis points? Will be a decrease in basis points? And by how much? Who will be part of Trump's administration? RFK is 97%. And we know that because Trump wants to make him part of HHS. And you could just go through all of these. They have so much stuff. And then, yes, you could do a lot of normal sports bets. You could do the margin of victories. You could call these prop bets. But yeah, like a lot of other bets that are out there. Like what's going to be the highest grossing movie in 2024? Like all of this. So obviously now Polymarket decided it was 100% to 0% who would win the election now. You thought Hunter got the DEA job. Yes. Well, Nick Taylor says, can't Matt Gaetz resign from the Senate? He's in the House, not the Senate. So, but during the election, Polymarket and Predict It in other places, people could bet on how they thought someone was going to win. And why do they use that? Well, it's very important because if you're betting with your money, it's one thing to believe in a poll and all this other stuff or have a gut feeling, but putting your money where your mouth is, that's a serious thing. And people put their money where their mouth is. They put it on Trump because they thought he was going to win. Oh, 2.0 is going. Have a nice night, sweetheart. So Gaetz did resign from the House today. Yeah, he did, which apparently there's an issue in Florida law and the way things are that it's not an official resignation or there's some issue with it, but he should wait till he actually gets confirmed because I don't know if he's going to get confirmed. But you can bet on this. Now there's one hitch with this. Somebody can't bet on this. United States citizens cannot bet on things like this. You're not allowed to. And if you didn't know that, you can't do it. Well, here is your heads up. You can't bet on this stuff. So what happened? So the FBI raided the Polymarket headquarters, and on Wednesday, just a week after the election, and they went after Shane Copeland there. He's, only 26 years old, but he had they seized his phone and other electronic items. And he says his grand political theater at its best. And he's right, though. The FBI could have asked his lawyer for all this stuff. They could have subpoenaed it. But instead, the FBI did a raid, and they leaked it to the media. Now, that part does lead me to believe this was done for political reasons. This is more kayfabe by the administration and the powers that be. But it's hard to tell because the FBI is run by scumbags, so I don't generally take them at their word. Anyways, this is the guy who run, the CEO of Polymarket. Now, the allegations are that people in the United States were allowed to bet on this election. You're not allowed to bet on the election. So a lot of people think it was retribution by Kamala Harris and people in the DOJ who were resisting, and they're mad that she lost, but we don't really know. The government is also likely believing that Polymarket manipulated and rigged its polls in favor of Trump, which you're not allowed to do shit like that. Market manipulation. So, which is funny because the entire stock market is about market manipulation. By buying and selling and shorting or going long, you're manipulating the market. And by doing those things, people can change their own behaviors and their tactics based on what one person does or one company does. If you guys ever watch Billions, Axe does that all the time. They go long on something or they sell on something. Guess what? The entire market moves with them. It's market manipulation if you're that powerful. But at this point, he has not been arrested or charged. So we don't know what's going to happen. But he points out we don't charge fees, we take no positions, and we allow people from all over the world to look at stuff. So, and here's the thing, as stated, you cannot trade if you're in the United States on Polymarket. But if you go through a VPN, obviously you could say, hey, I'm using the internet in Britain or Brazil or wherever, you can get into it. But the morning before Election Day, Trump had a 58.6% chance of winning. And Harris had a 41% chance. I mean, obviously Trump won and Trump had a stronger thing than a lot of people were expecting, but it sounds like they undersold it. I bet Trump had a better chance of winning that morning than, 58.6% chance. So, now, have they had problems before? Yes. 2022, they were forced to pause trading and pay to the CFTC, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, penalties because they failed to register. And if you guys have remembered when I've talked about Logan Paul and all the issues he had with his cryptocurrency that CoffeeZilla kind of blew the lid on. Yes, depending on what you're doing, if you're selling stuff that would be considered commodities or futures trading, there's the FTC, the SEC, all kinds of organizations, but there's also the CFTC. They're not as well known, but they are very, very powerful. They're their own regulatory body. Since 2022, the platform's only been available for other countries. And that's the other thing, too. Are they going to try to argue, well, you let other people around the world do this, so now it's election interference because voters will look at the betting outcomes and not realize it's foreign people being involved. Who knows? I could see that being a bullshit answer there. I could see that's something they would try to do. Helio Rose is saying they can't oversell or manipulate the odds moved based on bets from both sides. I agree. They haven't done anything to manipulate the market, but I see that happening. I see that being an argument they make. like that. Now, there was, and this is where they get to the. This is where they get to, and I said, like, from reading this earlier, I think this is where they might try to claim election interference or foreign interference. Somebody in France made $85 million in profits betting on Trump. And there were a couple of a couple of these websites, they even think it was Polymarket. Kamala's odds jumped up really high because somebody bought like 50,000. They bet like 50,000 units on Kamala. And then another guy did it, and they were random people that were anonymous. So there's a lot of, there's a lot of hijinks going on. Fortune magazine says that 2 crypto research firms, which I'm sure that those places don't think crypto is good, I'm sure they're not biased, said that they believe Polymarket was doing wash trading, where a trader buys and sells the same entities to create the issue of actual things happening, which is market manipulation. Egregious Darkly says XQC put $700K on Destiny's bet. Oh my God. Oh, he lost some money there. That's rough. Oh, he put 1.3 mil? Oof. Yeah. I knew it was a lot, but holy shit. Destiny conned him into putting down 1.3 million. Oof. Yeah, it'd be like sending yourself super chats. Yes. It's a very similar way. And we're going to leave that alone for now. I know that comment also we could easily delve into a Ricada question topic, but we'll let the smoke settle on that. So there are issues that will be going on. We'll see what happens. But here is the actual Polymarket things as far as it went. And from looking at this, you can see, obviously for Kamala, it starts right here in July because that's when she took over. And she rose steadily. For a while, she did eclipse Trump, and she was over 50%. And then very shortly after that, she started tanking down, and they were kind of neck and neck till October. But remember, I think that that's also an issue of, the markets and everybody hedge their bets and they come forward. And then things pulled away once the rubber hit the road. And as you can see, the gaps widened and widened and widened. And then they try to tighten back down right before the election, and then we had the election. So I think it's bullshit. I think he's being punished for being involved in a way there that's screwing with things, but we'll see. Another election-related issue is in France, actually. This one is kind of surprising. If you guys don't understand French politics, France had an election previously, and they had, the way France does it, France has their assembly, and they also have their presidency. It's not like Britain where the prime minister comes out of that. The French president is separately elected. And the French president right now is Emmanuel Macron. And he was elected in 2017. And he is, and when is the next French election? I think it's coming up. So the French legislative elections, which is for that, happened in June and July, if you guys remember that. In the first round of voting, National Front, Marine Le Pen, her party won quite a bit. In July, the left wing, the hard left, and the intermediate kind of moderate left made a deal with the devil with each other to crush the right wing in the French elections, and they maintained a majority. So the left-wing alliance, is going to be an issue for that. Like, it's kind of going to screw France over at the end of the day, because a lot of communists gain power. Like in France, they still have a communist party. Like, they are legitimate communists. Now, what does that mean? Well, Marine Le Pen's organization, Macron likes the BBC. Yes, he does. Now, what happened from there? Well, the French presidential election is likely to happen. I believe it's set for like 2027 or so. It's a ways out. It's a ways out. But in the meantime, and this is more of, yes, the right wing in France has one very fringe party that wants the monarchy back. Yes. And that's the issue with European politics. You have like 1 million parties, and all those parties actually have the ability to vote. Canicon, yes, Infowars, we already touched on all that. So what happened from here is French prosecutors are wanting to jail Marine Le Pen, the head of the major opposition party right now in France. They are trying to get her sent to prison. So she's been accused of embezzling European Union funds. And they want her to go to prison, and that would put her outside of being able to run for president in 2027. This is like a 10-year investigation of everything, and it threatens to undermine the national rally, and that's the entire, big tent organization for everybody there. And the party, is trying to get ready for the election, which many people believe she will win, and she has a very good chance of winning it. Now, it's because it's in France, they have a different legal system there. They have the Napoleonic system. So what's going to happen there? Well, the prosecutor is requesting a 300,000 euro fine, 5 years in prison, and an ineligibility sentence against Marine Le Pen, meaning that regardless, they want it to happen immediately. Now, she's currently in trial, and the court is the ones that find her guilty. She doesn't have a jury like we do. And if they immediately impose this provisional execution, even if she appeals, she still can't run. Now, the trial runs till November 27th, and the judges will take time to come up with their verdict. They can announce their verdict in 2025, but it's a long time away. It's not going to happen right away. So, but it is interesting to see. It is interesting to see what's going to happen. That the push of people assaulting the political establishment, they are going after people everywhere. Be a candidate in exile, that would be. Where's she going to go? Because we have extradition treaty with France. So she'd have to go somewhere that doesn't have an extradition treaty. The other problem for her is there are a lot of French protectorates around the world still. And then there's a lot of places that have good relations with France. She could flee to Monaco, no, because they would turn her over. She could flee to Corsica. No, that Corsica would not work either. There is a the parachute regiment is stuck on Corsica. The Foreign Legion's parachute regiment was banished to Corsica after the assassination attempt on de Gaulle. So, yeah. Yes, a French government in exile would be very... A French government in exile would be very keyno. Yeah, it's like we've done that before, haven't we? Midnight Exile says, you get the point. Well, I wasn't sure what you were getting at there, and I don't know if you knew that because I don't know what everybody knows. So she could go to Yemen. And yes, Panzer Dude, ultimately, yes, the issue is they didn't really embezzle money. She fucking spent it on her party. So, we'll see what happens. Midnight Nexel says, I don't want a French government in me. Well, you best believe that might happen against your will. Against your will. Oh, Bork, yes. Now, in Europe, the bigger thing for Europe is they are freaking out about all these right-wing parties gaining power. But it's funny when you see some of them. Like, it's funny in Germany, the AfD party, they're panicking, freaking out about it when its leader is a Jewish lesbian. We're seeing in Italy, Joe Dolio's future girlfriend. She was supposed to be so based down in Italy. But what did she do? She's basically turned into, Giorgia Meloni is basically, turned into I love immigrants at this point. So it's all a joke. It's all a joke. I mean, really, yeah. It's all just ridiculousness. It's all just ridiculousness. But we'll see what happens. I thought it was interesting to see that it's not just Trump or people going after him, but you see, like, the law applies to everyone, the prosecutor told the court. And they're looking to ban these guys from local or national elections. So we'll see. And now the allegation is basically like no-show jobs, but nobody really knows. I think, that who knows what they really did. And if it's something like that, it's probably done everywhere. France wouldn't surprise me. French politics is pretty corrupt. So, yeah, that's kind of where things are. So just keep your eyes peeled because it's an example of lawfare going on all over the world. Did we figure out what Leanie's barking at? Yes, she's missing 2.0. She wants 2.0 and 2.0 is not home. Brimstone says, can we go back to pre-1990 when the Muslims couldn't hold office? Well, I'm not sure. Not sure about that one yet. But it would be very interesting. Although you still had the Bun-Wee, so it's not like it goes away there. Not like it goes away at all. And no, we have not gotten to the Fulton County thing, guys. Well, that's actually something we'll get to in a little bit. Okay. Now, something we were going to get to over earlier this week, but as I tried to deal with my basically StreamYard shit out on me. And it was very frustrating when I did it. As I'm sitting here talking to you guys, basically StreamYard says, our connection to YouTube is broken. So I was still on Twitch and on Rumble, but, and then Rumble shut down, and then it was just Twitch. So I know I wasn't the only one dealing with it. I know Camelot had an issue. I know Simpcast had an issue. It was very frustrating, very frustrating. But it was when we were talking about Nick Fuentes. And this is something I do think we want to touch on because it is hilarious. And if you guys know Nick Fuentes, he is the leader of America First. He runs, over on Cozy TV. He is the Führer of the Catboy Reich. He is also the infamous cum hunter. If you guys don't know what that all is, go on the farms. You can learn all about it. He is a lot of people think he's a Sephardic Jew who's running around claiming to be the savior of the white race. It's the Hispanic man trying to be the savior of the white race. Anyway, Nick Fuentes had gone on Twitter. Well, he got on his show in the aftermath of the election, which, as he had tried to say to Trump, he was against Trump running. He was trying to figure out ways to sabotage Trump. up in Michigan. He was actually going to try to deep fake. And he admitted to this. They were going to try to deep fake ads against Trump to ruin him. And yes, Nick Fuentes did show up on January 6th at the Capitol with the bullhorn. And it's interesting. Unlike, Owen Schroyer and all those other guys, Nick Fuentes never got charged. It's almost like he was a glowy. Just throwing that out there. No, Jack, I agree. But people have claimed that. I'm just saying there's a lot of claims about Nick. I don't agree with those. I just think he's a Fed. So what did Nick Fuentes do? Well, Nick Fuentes went on his show and did this. If you guys have not seen it.
Feel when we control your bodies. Hey, bitch, we control your bodies. Guess what? Guys win again, okay? Men win again. And yes, we control your bodies. Hi, I'm your Republican congressman. Hi, I'm your Republican congressman. It's your body, my choice. And men, women again. Men win again. There will never, ever be a female president. Never. There will never be a female president, ever. It's over. Glass ceiling. Dude, it's a ceiling made of fucking bricks. You will never break it. Your stupid face keeps hitting the brick ceiling. We will keep you down forever. You will never control your own bodies. You will never be the president of the global empire. Never gonna happen, sweetie.
So there you go. That's what he said, and that caused an uproar. Yes, he's very good at what he does. So what did this lead to with Nick? Well, his information had already been doxed out on the internet. If you guys aren't aware, Nick Fuentes is involved in the sector. And if you guys are in the sector, Ethan Ralph and all of that, he's involved with that. Keno Casino has covered Nick Fuentes before. But, Ethan Ralph has involvement with America First. The other people involved, you may hear the names of like Jaden or Flamenco. Those are all of the names, but there's so much lore involved in it. I don't even know the full lore myself. I know enough, but it's an entire thing there. Well, he had been doxxed already before. But with this comment, all the blue hairs and all the liberals and all the leftists found his dox. And then they put it all over the internet. And from there, chat, well, they did put it up. And they showed us, they showed us Nick's house. And they put it out there, and many liberals were going to go after Nick to start fucking with him. Well, at some point, a leftist lady, and we're going to get to her all the way here, but this is her. Her name is Marla Rose. She showed up at Nick's house. We'll get to what she is in a second here. But she showed up to Nick's house, and as she showed up, she filmed herself. And here's what happened to her.
Hi. Oh my God! What are you doing?
Get the fuck out of here! So as she's about to knock out the door, hit the doorbell, he maces her in the face, and shoves her up down the stairs. And this is the last look you see as you're a cat boy getting abducted by Nick Fuentes. And he takes her cell phone. Now, we need to learn some things about this lady. There's a little bit of cat-on-cat crime with this because we learned that Marla Rose is obviously, and it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, she is a Kamala supporter. And she's got cat ears on, which you think, like, Nick Fuentes got mad because he said, "Oh no, ew, you're a girl. I don't want you." He got very mad about that. So he maces her, and she got left and crumpled up on the side of the sidewalk out there. And this is her getting maced. And this is her laying on the ground as he shoves her off the stairs. Now, there are some things that make me think this might be fake. If you guys go on YouTube, people getting maced in the face, it's generally not a fun thing. It's generally not a fun thing. But as you hear from her, she doesn't sound, and I'm not saying you have to be like, "Oh, my face is on fire." But you don't ever hear her say any bad words. You don't hear her like, "Oh my God, this hurts," or burns or anything. Just listen to her, and we're going to slow it down just a bit, just so you guys can hear her. It's just a little weird. It's a little sussy to me.
Hi.
Because notice, she didn't even get to the doorbell. She didn't even get to the doorbell. So how does she know when the time to do it is? There's some things in this that don't add up to me.
Hi. Oh my God! What are you doing?
Get the fuck out of here! I mean, not even now. We don't hear her going like, "Oh," or like, "Ha," or you don't hear anything from her. We don't hear anything from her. It's not weird. She was just frozen in shock, I guess, but you don't hear anything. 10KV says, "Do I think this is staged?" I mean, it's a little like I mean, here's part of the issue. It's Nick Fuentes. The odds of this being a gay op are very, very high. Nick Fuentes is the king of gay ops. He could very easily do this. Were there other visitors? I don't know. I don't know if there's other visitors. So it could be. It could be. Now, regardless of that, Marla Rose is and this is where, if it's not fake, God has the best sense of humor in the world, because this Marla Rose lady is Jewish. And Marla Rose is standing up to hate, and she's grifting off of it. But she is a self-described Jewish woman, which the idea that Nick Fuentes fucking maced a Jewish lady is like, we are in the best timeline ever, chat. We are in the best timeline ever. If this is true. If this is 100% true. And yes, the cops basically laughed at her. He didn't get arrested. We don't, no charges have been pressed yet. Which, once again, makes it a little weird. It makes it a little sussy at the end of the day. But we don't know. Now, ultimately, let's say it's true, and let's say it's real. Did Nick Fuentes have the right to use force? Well, Chicago does allow for people to use force to defend their properties and defend themselves. You do have the right to self-defense in Illinois. There are rules for that, but they do exist. And one of them, you can see in their criminal code, and their criminal code allows... Oh, it won't scroll because I'm not in there. It's self-defense is an affirmative defense. Now, once again, guys, I'm doing this on the presumption of Nick was actually legit. This was a true thing. This wasn't a gay op. So it's defense of yourself and defense of property is an affirmative defense. Okay, so meaning that you have to say, yes, I did it, but I had a good excuse. Now, is he use of force in defense of a person? I don't know, because he has to reasonably believe he's facing imminent harm. From imminent use of unlawful force. Well, I don't know. Because it was just this dumpy fat lady coming to knock on his door. Now, if she had been holding like a Molotov cocktail, could that have been? Would that be a fair argument? Sure. But if she had just walked up with her phone in her hand, yeah, I don't think that's going to work for him. Now, because ultimately he can keep the door closed. The fact people know where he lives and they're ding dong ditching, or they'll ring and they open the door like you're a fucking asshole, Nick Fuentes. Okay, that's fine. Now, can you use the force in the defense of his dwelling? Well, once again, was this lady coming up with a baseball bat or a crowbar and getting ready to smash out windows? You have to have a reasonable belief that that conduct's necessary to prevent or terminate unlawful entry or attack upon a dwelling. And you're only justified in using the force which is intended to cause great bodily harm or death. Well, we don't have to worry about that because Nick didn't do any of that. So some of you might say, well, what's he entitled to? Well, he's only entitled to use the force that's being used against him. And at this point, I don't see anything from this lady. Although at the end of the day, nobody's been charged. So I could see the cops just saying, fuck all of this. They both suck. And that's why at the end of the day, I think that's kind of where the government's going to look at this. Because somebody had asked me, like, who could she talk to? Because somebody thought, like, oh, I want to see Nick Fuentes get fucked over. Fuck both of them. They're both equally reprehensible people. And at this point, Nick Fuentes is suffering and Marla Rose is suffering. Good. Fuck them both. Because in the meantime, the Marla Rose lady has been doxxed. And people now know where she lives, which that's one of the problems. When you start touching the cows, eventually, they might touch you. And she got touched back. So, she's a Holocaust survivor. Yeah, that's not it. So, I don't think he's going to be able to make arguments to protect himself here. He's going to have a bit of an issue. But I hope at the end of the day, nobody. But did the cow consent? The law cow versus an actual cow. Oh. Yes, when you touch the ick, it might ick you back. Trump Wed says, moo means moo. Oh. Baby Cake says she didn't even sound aggressive with her chip or high. Well, she might have been. We don't really know. But yes, if he had gotten charged with anything, I could totally see it. But if him not getting charged, I could totally see it here. Hubbleson says, you're underselling the doxing. Well, no, because his doxing was already out there. He'd already been doxed. It just got shared to a wider area of society that wasn't the sector. The sector had his dox already, but now the rest of the internet has it. Any updates on Daniel Penny? His trial is still going. I believe we're now into the defense has been presenting evidence. They brought on one of his Marine instructors who had trained him. But no, the trial's still going. We don't have any bombshell information out of what side had already been brought up before. So, yeah. Distance says, I don't even know exactly what the sector is. Okay, well, it's the SEKTUR. The sector is the home of people like Ethan Ralph. If you ever heard Nick or Kata talk about him. Ethan Ralph and all the other people associated with him. You'll see like part of that's like Comicsgate and then Dick Masterson and Vito and Riley and all these other names of people we've heard talking about. If you've ever seen any of Nick's shows, that's all the sector people. It's the name given to a part of the internet. It's the best way for me to describe it without you going on Kiwi Farms and learning about the sector. I can't really explain it other than that, really, at the end of the day. Aphex is saying, if the cell phone went to the house, how did we get this vid? Did he upload it himself, see it recording and not delete it, ask for a copy? I don't really know. And that's another issue of like, how did he get it? What happened there? I'm sure he returned the phone over when the police showed up. Yeah. P.S. Crypto bull run might be starting. Well, maybe it is. All I can tell you, Chad, is do your own homework. I can't recommend any cryptos. I'm not a financial expert. Just like any financial things, make sure you make an educated decision and don't bet. You're betting at the end of the day. Don't bet more than you can afford to lose. Yeah, the cops got her phone back for her, but I don't know how he got a hold of it. Oh, the account that first posted it said she shared the video. Okay, well, there we go. So, also remember, guys, the Daniel Penny trial, it's in New York State, so it's not going to be televised. Yes, Inner City Press on Twitter has been tweeting it. I'm not going to sit there and just retweet after tweet after tweet after tweet of things, but it does look like Daniel, I mean, there are witnesses that the state has called who said, oh my God, I was terrified. Self-defense, defense of others. So hopefully he gets acquitted. So real quick, we have a couple of comments here to get through. Squizguard says, not committing crimes. Why don't you just ask us to not breathe? Well, I guess. Nick Kreuzer says, hey, kids, stop all the downloading. Squizgar again says, the government doesn't like to let you make money based on their political decisions. That's their bread and butter. Yes. That's entirely their realm. And then T-Rex Trucking and more says, wait, I thought there was a court ruling allowing citizens to bet on the elections. Not for Polymarket. You could do it in Vegas, but Polymarket's not allowing it. It's part of their agreement with the federal government. And Garrett says they don't shave their whores in France. Well, I don't think women in general shave in France, so do with that what you will. I think Predicted is a lot. I think Predicted's the only one, but they're under heavy. You've got to agree to do what the U.S. wants. So, might not be the best. Where are we here? We've got this. Okay. So, moving on to oh my God, you guys are awful. I'm not answering that question there. What are you guys seeing here? Brimstone saying, I don't know why you think it's illegal for U.S. citizens to bet on elections. Well, yes, there are rulings that, you could bet on congressional elections. But there was using Polymarket. You can't bet on those. So with that being said, guys, we're moving on to the Fulton County Jail. If you guys have ever watched 60 Days In, you probably have seen this place here. And this is the Fulton County Jail down in Atlanta. Yes, Fannie Willis's Atlanta. There was a massive DOJ report that got released. And we've heard through the YSL trial and through other things that the jail system in the Atlanta metropolitan area is abysmal. The Fulton County Jail is even worse. There are stories of people getting killed awaiting trial. They've died from medical conditions awaiting trial. And people have spent years locked up pre-trial. There's a lot of problems there. So the report got released, and it was part of a 91-page report from the DOJ saying killing, stabbings, and assaults are common. Lethal violence goes uninvestigated and is sometimes directly abetted by jail staff, and that's true. There are a lot of reports and allegations that jail staff allows guys to go in there and dole out justice. There are many times, apparently, given their staffing, that there's like one CO and the CO doesn't get out of their little locked security room, and these guys regulate themselves on a tier or in a pod. It's really fucking bad there. But yes, federal investigators began investigating when there was a sharp increase in deaths during the pandemic. But there was, and if you guys have never heard the story about LaShawn Thompson, it is really fucking sad. He was a guy who had mental illness. They found him covered in bugs and his own shit with his face down in the toilet. And the coroner said he was neglected to death. Like, it's really fucking bad what's happened down there. It was really, really, really bad. It was really, really bad there. Old Line Red says, watch Judge Manning's bond calls. It's dude after dude sitting without indictment for years. Yeah. Yep. Well, we talked about this, chat. We talked about this before with the guy named Maurice Jimerson. He was the guy, and I think in one of the nearby counties. He spent 10 years waiting trial on a murder case. 10 years. He spent 10 years waiting to go to trial. So it's not an issue. Like, that's just limited. This is happening pervasively. I mean, there are issues all over the country, but the Atlanta metropolitan area is a massive fucking problem. Like I said, this one guy waited 10 years to go to trial. And then when they tried him, he got a hung jury. Think about that. And many of his other co-defendants had been acquitted. Luke Pearson says Shannon Stillwell has been stabbed twice. Yes. Shannon Stillwell, they had to stop the trial in January because he got stabbed. And they had to pause it for like 3 weeks. But yeah, it's an awful fucking prison. It's a massive report. And it came out today. I have not had a chance to read it yet. But I want to go over it. I want to read it. You know, more than 1,000 assaults occurred in 2023. 314 stabbings, guys. 314 stabbings. And the rate of stabbings is 1.5 times the rate of stabbings in the New York City jails, and 27 times the rate of all incidents involving an edged weapon in the Miami County jails. Yeah, it's just absolutely fucking awful. Absolutely awful. You know, they talk about in May, one of the guys dug a hole through a shower wall to enter another guy's housing pod and stabbed him up. Literally, the guy pulled a Shawshank and tunneled through a concrete wall. You know, another one happened between two different pods. And a guy's like, I was laying on my bed when somebody came out of the wall near the toilet and tried to stab me. Oh, you know, and they soak drugs are liquefied and they soak them in paper. Obviously, that comes in from the guards and medical staff and other people. Burnt rolls and rolled papers left all over the place. And when the feds were investigating on one occasion, it was still burning one of the homemade cigarettes. 6 people have been murdered since 2022. One victim had already been injured 3 separate times at the jail. The jail doesn't do meaningful investigations and security lapses. So we'll see what happens. And they have 49 days to make changes or they'll face a federal lawsuit. I'm sure they'll fucking get on top of it. I'm sure they'll get on top of it. Yeah. A Shawshank shanking, yes. Gouveia covered this today. It was brutal. Yeah, I'm like I said, I want to read it. I didn't have a chance to read it today. It's a little busy with stuff. Yeah, it's just awful there. It's just awful there. It's the power of hate. Yes, you hate that person so much, you'll tunnel through the walls of the jail just to go stab them to death. And yeah, that is keeping it real. I will say that is keeping it real, but yes. Prisoners are resourceful fuckers. Well, when all you have is free time, you get very creative. Fanny's probably a static Trump one then, yeah. Kat Madison said, I had to leave for a bit. Where's the report from? The DOJ. You guys just going to go with the Jew tunnels are better than the prison tunnels? Okay. Nick Kreuzer says, I'm just going to go ahead with based. It's like, I guess. Yes, Larry Lawton, if you guys don't know who he is, he's here on YouTube. He's a former jewel thief and did federal prison time for being a high-end jewel thief. And he talks about prison stories. Like, he doesn't glamorize all of it. He says, you don't want to do what I did. Don't do the life I've led. But he talks about it, and he can tell some interesting and funny stories. But yes, he tells great prison stories, unlike Nick will. Yes. These prison tunnels weren't full of bloody child-sized mattresses. Oh, I agree. That's a bigger thing. Yes, these didn't have child-sized mattresses in them. Yes. Prisoners' living conditions are always cited before a riot. Yes. So, yeah, it's really bad. I mean, and jail shouldn't be fun, but jail shouldn't be a fucking gladiator academy like that. It shouldn't be Lord of the Flies. It should not. It should not ever be Lord of the Flies like that. Cat Madison said Fannie paid Nathan Wade to investigate. His investigation should be investigated. Sounds like a cover-up. Nathan Wade did the next county over's jail, Cobb County. He did an investigation on that jail and just basically said, well, I don't know. Guy died. Whoops. That's where he got paid. So that's something there. Casper says, where can we find the DOJ report? I think the DOJ released it themselves. But we'll be going over that probably tomorrow night. So let's see here. Cena Rose says, glad these guys are not on the street, though. Well, but a lot of these guys probably should be on the street. Like all the guys in Young Thug. Young Thug got released right away. So he's obviously not that big a threat. Zaxarian says, isn't federal prison generally nicer than the state for white-collar crimes? Yes, but you're talking about post-conviction. Yes, federal prison is pretty much always better than state prison. But when you're in a local county jails just suck in general because everybody's moving around. Nothing's ever set in stone. They have to be a little more restrictive. So local jails always suck compared to prisons. And then, yes, state prison is better than the county jail, but federal prison is generally better than state prison. Many of my clients have told me that too, because I've had clients who've done federal time, and they enjoy federal prison better. A lot more opportunities, a lot more funding. How much could a Shawshank shank if a Shawshank could shank a shank? Yeah. Okay. So, guys, moving on from there, and this is this actually, I guess it kind of ties in with the sector, and it's about Torswats. Actually, hold on. Yeah, we'll do Torswats next. We'll do Torswats next. Torswats, if you guys were not aware, Torswats is the entity behind what's been going on. Tim Pool got swatted a lot of times. I remember, guys, swatting is the act of when people call 911 and say, like, oh, I'm at 1234 Elm Street and I just killed everybody and I've got a gun. And, the police come out, guns drawn. It's happened to many people, like live streaming video games. The police come in and raid them in the middle of a game. Guns are drawn, forcing people on the ground. It's very dangerous because the police think some violent crime has happened and they come with their guns drawn, ready to kill someone. And it's actually led to deaths. There was a case of a swatting out in Kansas where the guy came out the door and one of the dumb fuck cops acted like a little bitch and his tampon squeezed too hard and he shot an innocent man, an unarmed man. But swatting has been getting out of control. It's getting worse and worse and worse. But there is an organization called Torswats. They have been swatting Tim Pool routinely. They had swatted many famous e-celebrities. I believe there was even a theory that they were involved in who swatted Nick Arcata a couple of times. But after a while, they started going big. They started swatting people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, and they swatted tons of elected officials. I remember we went through the indictment, and it was fucking hilarious. They swatted a ton of federal law enforcement officials, higher ups in various federal organizations, which that's pretty base. But they swatted like fucking everybody. And yeah, they swatted Marjorie Taylor Greene, which they did try to pawn off on the farms, but did not work. Well, anyway, the head of Torswats, well, I don't really know if he's the true head, but they found somebody to go after, and they went after the guy. Hold on here, chat. So, Torswats ended up entering a plea, and the person involved in Torswats here was the person they actually have right now is a California teenager, guy out of California. His name's Alan Fillion. He pled guilty to 4 counts of making interstate threats to injure the person of another. He faces a maximum penalty of 5 years in each count, and he'll be sentenced February 2025. Now, the DOJ put this release out, but it's important to know, what did he actually do? Well, here's the information, and information is not an indictment, and information is something it's a charging document in many situations you voluntarily agree to. It skips the steps. Now, there are other times where informations happen. In some states, it's normal. Depends where you are. Some states, the prosecutor could file an information of charges against you. I believe that's how Kyle Rittenhouse was charged initially, was by information, because the grand jury wouldn't indict. But in some states, informations are illegal unless you consent to them. So, for example, in Ohio, you can only be charged by the grand jury unless you waive that in writing, and then you can proceed by information. So, anyways, he was charged under as many aliases like Nazgul Swattings, Torswats, the Third Reich of Kiwi Swats, the Table Swats, Angmar, and Torswats. So he got count 1 of his interstate threat to injure another. And basically from August 2022 till about early January 2024, he did more than 375 swattings, hoaxes, and other threat calls throughout the United States. That's a lot. That's really fucking busy. He's been a busy guy. He did quite a bit. They made fake telephone calls with authorities reporting false bomb threats or imminent mass shootings at schools or churches. It happened multiple times. He used multiple voice over internet protocol accounts using VPNs. He did all kinds of stuff to hide. He tried to hide multiple proxies, but it didn't work. So, and here's the thing, even though he's a juvenile, that doesn't stop you from getting prosecuted. It doesn't stop you from being prosecuted under federal law. I mean, when you're, he's kind of... PHOA says PSA swatting is not cool air. Sean. So, yeah, she just uses 7 proxies. Yeah, so some of these guys were juveniles. Yeah, and being a juvenile doesn't protect you at the federal level. So he did transmit interstate and foreign commerce communications meant to threaten or injure people. He had called emergency response numbers that said that he had AR-15s, pipe bombs, and automatic weapons, that he was going to shoot up churches in Sanford, Florida. So he had done this a lot. He threatened to attack a historically black college and university. Other things he went after here. He went after a high school in Washington, state of Washington. And he said, I'm going to commit a mass shooting of my AR-15 and Glock. I will kill as many kids as I can, then I will shoot myself. I have pipe bombs that I place in the bathrooms and trash cans that are set to detonate before class starts. I'm doing this because I'm sick and tired of all the fucking in my school. I want to kill all the fuckers because they're disgusting and degenerate. You sick, God-hating infidels are going to pay. May Allah praise my actions. He also claims he did it selecting members of the LGBT community, which then can make it a hate crime. And then he went after senior federal law enforcement officers using their address and told them he was armed with a rifle and that he would kill himself and he would kill any police if they responded. So those are the things he did. Oh. Yes, Jay says, we'd prank call as kids, but swatting government officials is wild. Yeah, I know. But I think that's pretty based. Going after federal officials is kind of based. Now, he did enter a plea, and his plea documents are here. If you guys have never seen a federal plea form, it's pretty like there's, and people have said this before to me, they're surprised because they assume there will be all kinds of like elaborate things to them. Like they're not really that elaborate. But here's the plea agreement, and it's pursuant to Federal Rules 11 of the criminal rules. So it's with the district attorney signing it and the defendant signing it, and the attorney for the defendant. They agree as follows: he's entering a plea guilty to counts 1 through 4. Counts 1 through 4 are interstate transmission of threats to injure. The maximum penalties for counts 1 through 4 are a sentence of 5 years imprisonment and a fine of $250,000. And as you can see, he signs each page. He initials it. He could be a supervised release of 3 years. And they'll break his back with $100 per felony count. So the elements of defense and here's how they do this for counts 1 through 4, that he knowingly sent a message to interstate or foreign commerce containing a true threat to injure the peoples of others, and the defendant sent the message with intent to communicate a threat of violence or recklessness as to whether it be viewed as a true threat of violence. Brad says, but if you go free if you say it's a prank, bro, well, yeah, I wouldn't recommend doing that. That's not going to be a very good defense there. The defendant's waiving the right to be charged by way of indictment before the grand jury. He's waiving venue challenges. So all legal challenges based upon venue pursuant to federal rules, the 6th Amendment, or otherwise to this district. And we are in the Middle District of Florida in Orlando. That's where Sanford is. It's a suburb of Orlando. If you guys remember, that's where the Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman shooting happened. But they point out that counts 2, 3, and 4 were committed in the District of California, the Central District of California, the Northern District of Florida, and the Western District of Washington, and the Western District of Texas. So he's waiving the right to be prosecuted for those counts, charged in 2, 3, and 4 in a different place where they were committed. They've worked it out that they'll try it all here. They're taking care of it here. That way, because he could say, no. I have to get tried in Florida, in Washington, Texas, and California. You have to do it. He could make them try that. So he's arguing it's in his own best interest to do it after reasoned reflection and discussion. And they say if the court accepts this agreement, the U.S. Attorney's Office for Florida, for Washington, for Central California, and the Western District of Texas, and the District of Columbia, and the United States Department of Justice National Security Division, which is a separate entity within the DOJ that can file charges, and they can file charges all over the place. They're U.S. attorneys with basically jurisdiction to go wherever they want. They agree not to charge him with committing any other federal offenses known at the time of the execution of this agreement. So anything he did that they know of at the time, they're going to promise not to do. And part of that was he had to discuss everything he did, which means he talked, and he very likely gave names. So he might have to make restitution. We'll see for counts 1 through 4. The defendant agrees to make restitution to the people who are harmed. We don't know what that is yet. And that the people who are harmed will be provided with notice of the hearings, and they can bring things up. They talk about the federal sentencing guidelines, and they recommend to the court the defendant shall be sentenced within the applicable guidelines determined by the court. And the parties understand the recommendation is not binding on the court. The court they can do what they want. And they say if this deal is not accepted by this court, neither the United States or the defendant will be allowed to withdraw from the plea agreement. And the defendant will not be allowed to withdraw from the plea agreement. So basically, the court says, I'm not accepting this, but we're moving the sentencing. He's agreeing he's stuck. All right? They do point out, and this is where doing the sentencing guidelines, they have literally the sentencing guidelines are its own book, chat. It's literally its own book. It is massive. And it's a thing you have to go back and forth and reading through. I think at some point I might do a explanation on it. 30 years is acceptable. That's not what he can get. It's only 4 counts, Panzer dude. How many times did he swat Patrick S. Tomlinson? Oh, he probably did that too. Very likely. Although there's a lot of theories with that one that Patrick Tomlinson was in communication with people doing the swattings to give himself like more high profile. Like he orchestrated some false flag swattings on himself. Don't really know, but those are the rumors. So anyway, the United States will recommend a 2-level downward adjustment for acceptance responsibility. And he has done that. He's accepted responsibility. But this is the rest of the sentencing agreement here, chat. It just goes on and on and on. That he agrees to cooperate. But this is a sentencing. This is a plea agreement here, guys. He's forfeiting all kinds of things here. There's forfeitures of all of his computers, and you guys can see what kind of stuff he was running if you want to give him shit. But they took everything. They took all his stuff. So Torswats is going to get sentenced in February. We'll see what happens. Is he going to get jail time? Probably some. Probably some. But we'll find out what happens. We'll find out what happens. No, child. It is you who's going to prison. Enjoy prison, stalker child. So we'll see what happens with Torswats. Self-swatting a thing? I mean, kind of. There's a lot of theories that Patrick Tomlinson swatted himself. We don't know. Is he barred from a touch-tone phone? Jeez. I don't know, chat. I don't know. And then, real quick, arson investigator for $49.99 says for the swatting funds. Thank you. Thank you for the super chat. Thanks for the support there. Mofolk says Safa spammers over in there. And yes, Brimstone, you're right. I apologize. I did misspeak. Okay, and if I didn't make it clear, I misspoke. You can bet on elections in the United States. You can't use Polymarket. I'm sorry. I misspoke. I misspoke, guys. A couple, you were correcting me. You're right. I did misspeak. My bad. I apologize. Didn't Torswats literally name it out Patrick for that non-payment? I think so, but once again, it's kind of hard to tell if that's a gay up on its own too. I think it's a bit of a gay op here for both. I mean, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. Yeah, no, J-Rock, I misspoke. I was wrong. I'm 100. I will admit I'm wrong. I was wrong. I misspoke. That was completely incorrect. I was wrong. Scudex is probably, we just want it to be true. Oh, yeah. I think it'd be hilarious if Patrick was doing that. I think so. Don't apologize to guys. Well, see, Cosmo, there's nothing wrong. If I say something wrong, you should apologize for it. Hey, you know what, chat? I was wrong. I said that it's less filling. Actually, it tastes great. If it's wrong, it's wrong, and I should be able to say that it's wrong. Bro, if Torswats are getting paid, they should have put that in the indictment. Well, that's not really a matter. It doesn't matter if you're getting paid or not. Doing it is doing it. And J-Rock, I tried the classical music thing with Lainey. It didn't matter. So. Miller Time, what is a Stuttering John? I've used Less Filling Tastes Great for a long time as far as arguments. All right, guys. And the last thing tonight is Johnny Somali. I know that Legal Mindset's been covering this, but it does get us to the idea of don't go to foreign countries and fuck around. Don't go to foreign countries and fuck around. Don't. So Johnny Somali, we talked about him before. He is a Twitch and Kick streamer, and he's gone to Japan. He's gone there and fucked around, been very just unruly, rude, and disruptive and disrespectful in their population. And their society, it's a very orderly, homogenous, and ethnically homogenous society. You don't fuck around, you don't act like an asshole and treat people like shit. Well, Johnny Somali ended up getting charged in Japan for multiple crimes, including burglary, and that was for wandering around a construction site at night. And they were going to threaten him with imprisonment. Instead, they kicked him out. He was basically told, don't fucking come back. And that was after Johnny had cried like a little bitch and begged not to go to jail. So they kicked him out. He's banned from returning to Japan. He then went to Israel and then started fucking around in Israel. At some point, he's tried to fuck with an Israeli cop and a female cop, and they slightly beat him up and fucked with him, and he left Israel. And now he's in Korea, and he's fucking around in Korea. Many of the things he did in Korea was just talking shit generally about Korea, which the Koreans are very nationalist. They're very proud of their history and heritage. And then he started fucking with the statues that have been dedicated in many parts of Korea to the comfort girls and the comfort women. And comfort women and comfort girls were women who were basically pressed into sex slavery by the Japanese military during the Japanese occupation of Korea. Japan has a long history with Korea. That's the reason why Japan and Korea don't, they're allies against North Korea and China, but ultimately they have there's a racial component anyway, but they fucking hate each other for what's happened there. Japan has never really truly apologized for it. And because of that, commemorating what happened to their citizens, Korea has many of these monuments dedicated to the comfort women and the comfort girls. Well, Johnny Somali started fucking around on those statues, and that's a really big deal. It got to the point where streamers and other people in Korea, including one Korean streamer who is a former Korean Navy SEAL, and the Koreans have their own Navy, and they have underwater demolition team and SEAL guys, who is a streamer, tracked him down and beat the shit out of him. And other people have beaten the shit out of Johnny Somali. They've terrorized him, and he's run away to the cops. Well, eventually, he has been charged in Korea with a couple of crimes. And he's been indicted over his offensive acts. And yes, Ramzi Khalid Ismail, popularly known as Johnny Somali, will face a trial and is banned from leaving the country. And that's the neat thing. When you are in a foreign country, they can control if you enter the country, but guess what? You can't just leave. They can stop you. Even though Johnny Somali has tried to say, well, I'm an American. That may have worked in the 80s and earlier throughout the world. Oh, I'm an American and people are scared. No, nobody gives a shit if you're an American. It's not the Cold War anymore. No one cares anymore. So being an American doesn't do anything for you. Is he black? Yes. If you guys have not seen Johnny Somali, I think there should be one. Where the hell? No, he doesn't have his picture here. Hold on. We can show you Johnny Somali getting his ass kicked because it is actually pretty funny. So if you guys have never seen Johnny Somali here is chat. Here is Johnny Somali getting attacked by a. Here's Johnny Somali getting attacked by a streamer. Anyways, here you go.
Hey. Hey. Somali.
So they know where he's at, and they're following him, and they're gonna just jump him out in the street here.
어디가?
어디가?
어?
어디가?
어디가?
Don't touch my shoe.
어디가?
Don't touch me, nigga.
어?
Huh?
소말리 어디가?
Yes, sir.
어디 가냐고?
You guys following me crazy. Listen to you.
어디가?
어디가? What you mean? 어디가?
어디가?
What is 어디가? Oh. Yo, please.
야, 야.
뭐 하는 거지?
Now, immediately the police knew where he was. They jumped in to save his ass. So, would you say he's attacked by niga? Well, actually, niga in Korean means you. That's the pronoun for you. So there's actually a video where the Koreans start screaming at him, niga, 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 niga. Well, it's basically saying you. And Johnny Somali doesn't understand Korean, and he gets all upset about it. It's fucking hilarious. But basically, Johnny Somali has been was protected a couple of times by the police. They helped escort him around, but he's caused so many problems that he is now stuck in Korea. Basically, because he caused a commotion. Now, as Mindset has pointed out, in South Korea, they can hold you for a long time without trial or charges. But right now, Johnny is facing a trial, and he's also banned from leaving the country. But he is not detained. And as he said, as Mindset has said, Korea can basically hold you for like up to 2 years, basically destroy you, drain all your money, and then they might cut you loose. But they will have bankrupted you because you're not in jail, but you have to stay somewhere, so you have to pay money, and it's not like he can't work. So you're stuck there. Korea will routinely do this to fuck with people. So he is banned from leaving the country, and they can do that because remember, you're gonna have to show documents. So he's gonna get greenlit. They're gonna light him up wherever he goes. He tries to go through a train station, a ferry. Well, there's no train stations out of Korea, but if he tried to take a ferry to Japan, a plane ride, whatever it is, he's going to get flagged at the airport and will not be allowed to leave. So, anyway, Johnny, like a dumb fuck, posted where he's drinking alcohol at a convenience store and fucks around there before he cleans it up. But he filmed himself doing it like a dumb fuck. Remember, don't film yourself committing crimes. Regardless of who you are, don't stream yourself committing crimes. So, but when you get to the Comfort Women statues, there's actually video of Johnny kissing the statue and printing out a picture of himself kissing it and showing it to people in Seoul. A lot of people got really fucking mad about that. And he has been beaten up multiple times in South Korea now. So, yeah, they will see what happens. And Johnny Somali probably going to get some jail time out of it. But yes, do not take notes on yourself doing a criminal conspiracy, chat.
Nigga, is you taking notes on a criminal fucking conspiracy? What the fuck is you thinking, man?
I mean, but I guess maybe that means Nick, other streamers who record themselves committing crimes like doing cocaine, maybe that means they're as intelligent as a Somali, and Somalis have basically sub 80 IQ. So tells you a lot. He also grew up the statue too. Okay. Does he have a death wish? No, but he thinks he can fuck around. He thinks he can jerk around everybody, and he thinks oh, I'm just playing games. It's a prank, bro. That I'm in America, nothing bad will happen to me. Well, he's about to find out not the case. He is basically getting attacked everywhere he goes. People know where he's at now, and his movements are being tracked. Well, also, Zero Fuck says, Somalis are common in Minnesota. Very true. Very true. Eric says, pull up the video of the sword. What's the sword one? I don't know what that one is. So they should make him wear a baldo. Oh, that would be horrible. That would be horrible. But it's a very important thing, chat. Don't go around the world committing crimes. I mean, we talked about this before. We talked about like in Singapore, somebody smuggling in drugs is going to get hanged for it. You know, a lot of things that are pretty innocuous here in America can lead to very dire prison sentences. Even things like blasphemy, depending on you go to like Saudi Arabia and you commit blasphemy, you know, you can be in a lot of deep shit. And the fact that you're an American doesn't mean shit to anybody. Now, if you happen to be Brittany Griner or you're an American with some value of note, okay, maybe you can get away with stuff. But it's never a good idea. It's never a good idea to go fucking around in other parts of the world because they don't have the same rules as us. They can do whatever they want to you. And it's a rough, rough time. Don't ever do that. You know, Johnny's lucky that, you know, these other countries, the cops will knock your fucking teeth out. Like, thank God Johnny hasn't gone to Germany. The Polizei are known for that. In Japan, those cops could have beat the fuck out of him, and I'm surprised they didn't. It's just not good. Somebody's saying pull up video of the sword. Yeah, and he used this. Some Korean guys pulled a samurai sword on him. That's wicked. I didn't know about that. Let me see if I can find it here. That's fucking epic if he got threatened with a sword. Hold on here. Johnny Somali Korea sword. I can't find it. I'm typing in Johnny Somali Korea and sword. It's not showing up, so. Yeah, I can't help you there. It's not coming up right away. Don't draw pictures of Muhammad. Well, that's another thing too. Be careful. Be careful when you go to other countries, guys. You're playing in someone else's house. You abide by their rules. Shouldn't the U.S. intervened and revoked his passport after Japan? I mean, it's one thing to be a dumbass once in a while, but yes, probably after this, they can revoke his passport. Because that is a grace you're given by your government to use their credentials to travel. So they can revoke it for the sake of international relations. So we'll see. I assume they will at some point. Oh, Jamie says the German Polizei will not do that. The Austrian Polizei will do that. Okay, well, there you go. Yeah, in the military, that's an issue, drinking and, you know, alcohol use. But, you know, having a Sports Illustrated magazine, I can see that, or pornography. Yep. Koreans have placed a bounty on him, basically. Yep. The embassy changed his passport to a limited passport. Yes, because they basically are giving him a passport to get out of the country, but South Korea has prevented him from that. So, oh, it was an ASP. Okay. Anderson Cooper says send him to Russia and then revoke the passport. Oh my God! The problem is though in Russia they are Russia's very racist towards black people. So if Johnny went there, like they would just start beating on him. They wouldn't care that he's he's a streamer or anything like that. They would just beat the shit out of him for fun. Jay says, can we ban his return to the United States? We don't need his shit. No, he's a United States citizen. He is entitled to entry into the United States. We can't ban him for that. At least not in this situation. Like if he had done stuff for ISIS, probably. But just be like he has a right to, like, this situation would not be one where they could ban him. He could get sent to the front line. Oh, that would be hilarious. And watching like an FPV drone hit him, that would be perfect. Could Trump drone him? I mean, technically, President could drone strike U.S. citizens if he wants to. Revoke his citizenship. He's a natural born citizen. You can't, like, it's not revocable like that. There's a handful of conditions where you could lose your citizenship theoretically. This isn't one of them. So, but yeah, just don't be retarded overseas, chat. Don't be retarded overseas. Send his ass to Somalia. Yeah, don't do that, chat. Don't do that. Brewberries, member for 9 months, says, that's a poor choice in a place with mandatory enlistment. Yes. South Korea still has conscription. Yes, we love our Somalis. We love our Muslims. Oh, they're so good. Oh, they're so sweet. Send them to Detroit. Oh. Yes, he can make a minesweeper in Ukraine. So, all right, chat. So that is everything for tonight. We are all caught up, guys. Thank you all for being here. Come to Northeast Ohio and be retarded. I'll take the clients. Sure, it'd be fun. All right, guys. So thank you for everybody for being here. Everybody over on Locals, guys. Thank you for being there. There's some funny things in there. Like I said, some of these I can't. There's one weekend show right now that I do think is pretty good. I think this is actually it's a very wholesome meme. If you guys have not seen this yet, this is actually pretty good from Ag Biochemist. Saying, did you win, Mr. Trump? No, Peanut. We won. All right, guys. So that is it. Thank you to everybody on Locals over here on Twitch. The 3 of you on Twitch. Thank you for being here. Everybody that's still on Rumble. Oh yeah, Mofolk. Yeah, don't spit out gum in Singapore. Insult the king while in Thailand. Ghost Tree says Americans are awful overseas. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Thank you, everybody on Rumble. And then last but not least, here on YouTube, guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for your chats in the comments, guys. I truly appreciate everything. And then everybody sending a super chat, guys. I really do appreciate all the support and all the help there. And before we go, last but not least, it is Thursday night, and it's still an hour left at Stoney's Bar and Grill at 158 East Broadway Street in Rockville, Minnesota. Stoney's, your place to go for $2 cans on Thursday nights. What better way to celebrate the end of the week than at Stoney's? So it sucked. I couldn't, there wasn't a way I could put that all together. I just couldn't weave it in tonight, so it didn't work. Yeah, celebrating 30 years at Stoney's. And if you guys remember, even though it's getting cold out, what better way to stay warm than grinding up on somebody while Aaron Imholt is the MC for Naked Twister. Just rub up on somebody and you'll stay warm forever. Benjamin Lewis says, get your road pops for deer season at Stoney's. Yes. After a day of sitting in the tree stand, come on down to Stoney's and crack one open. So, guys, with that all done there, thank you again for all the comments, guys. And yes, don't rub a Comfort Woman statue also. Thank you guys for everything. I will see you guys over at Locals shortly. Remember, potentiallycriminal.locals.com. Use the promo code POTCRIM and you can get 1 month free access to all the live shows. And I hope to see you guys there very shortly. So take care, chat. And remember, until next time, just because you did it doesn't mean you're guilty. Especially if you're Richard Allen. I still don't think you're guilty, man. And actually, I don't think you did it. I just think the jury got it wrong. So fingers crossed the appeals work, man. But like, I'm not hoping. I'm not saying it's going to work, but we'll see. We'll see. Anyways, good night, chat. Take care. Tomorrow at noon, I will be on with Eric Hunley doing Laid Back News. And then at around 6 o'clock, I'll be on with Nick Starro, where we get over some YSL stuff that's going on. And then later tomorrow night, we will be covering some, like we've been doing the election show lately. We did it earlier this week. We'll probably do another one then. It should be a very fun time. So I'll see you guys until then. Take care, everybody. Good night.
Weapons, blacksmithing, and models of planes, esoteric works, and even some trains. Much merriment had while drinking White Claws, tips on hunting, and even talking the law. Whatever you do, just don't talk to cops, even when they nab you on illegal stops. Just 'cause you did it doesn't mean you're guilty, but please talk to a local attorney. Was that the fat guy Rick Hayden yelled at? Why, yes it was.